The poet T.S. Eliot once wrote, "Humility is the most difficult of all virtues to achieve. Nothing dies harder than the desire to think well of oneself." I agree. Humility among achievers is a rare virtue, but once in a great while, someone who possesses that elusive quality walks onto the stage of human drama and leaves an impression on us all with a remarkable performance. Such a person was H. Charles Grawemeyer.
He was a quiet man, but had a sense of humor, and he wasn't overly demonstrative with hugs and kisses all the time, but we knew he loved us, and he'd come home from work with his famous whistle. We knew he was home with the, you know, and we'd always give mother a kiss goodbye and hello, and just very supportive of everything that we ever wanted to do.
He was an engineer through and through, and he had thought of clever ways to do things. And when Mary and Martha were babies, they were always spilling their milk. And they had a little table that they ate at, so he painted squares or circles or squares on that table where they had to put their milk. And it worked, as far as I remember.
He was humble, very goal-oriented, unpretentious. He often wore a kind of frayed jacket, a tie with some spots on it from lunch. He didn't care much about sartorial splendor.
He had that blend where he would you and set the stage for you to be successful, but Charlie believed in work and effort and individuals doing for themselves.
Charles Grawemeyer grew up simply, achieved success in business during his lifetime, and left a lasting legacy in the annual Grawemeyer Awards that recognize and perpetuate individual achievements in 5 fields of endeavor: music composition, ideas improving world order, education, religion, and psychology.
Charlie Grawemeyer wanted to do something for the University of Louisville as well as the world at large by helping to select, urging the university to select some of the world's brightest people who've had creative ideas in the recent few years, and identifying those ideas and bringing them to the attention of the world, hoping that those ideas had the power to change the world.
The Charles Grawemeyer story needs to be told, his accomplishments celebrated, if for no other reason than to show that a simple, humble person can do remarkable things. H. Charles Grawemeyer was born in Louisville, Kentucky, one of 7 children. His father, Adolph, had emigrated from Germany in 1890 at age 16 and settled in Louisville. Even as a young boy, Charlie showed an entrepreneurial spirit that would serve him later in life. His first venture into business was at the age of 12 when he raised chickens and sold their eggs to neighbors. Later, in high school, he started a neighborhood garage rental business, leasing space in neighbors' garages for storage and sharing the profits with the owners.
I think he was intellectually inquiring, and he was street smart also. He knew how to meet life.
Charlie was a diligent, hard-working student with a facility for math. Tall, slender, serious, and soft-spoken, he reminded many of a young Abe Lincoln. Upon graduation, Charlie planned to attend MIT. But the stock market crash of 1929 had a major impact on his life. There was no money for a prestigious Eastern school, so Charlie settled for a less expensive but highly respected education, one closer to home, the University of Louisville's Speed Scientific School. It was a choice Charlie never regretted. He always credited the university with giving him the knowledge to succeed in engineering, business, and life. His lifelong generosity to his alma mater attested to his appreciation.
He received such a wonderful education at the university, and the company that he started with because of this co-op from the university carried him almost all the way through his career. It started with the Reliance Varnish Company, and so the university certainly gave him a boost in life, and he'll never forget.
Charlie worked his way through Speed. Always frugal, he rode a bicycle to campus to save bus fare. At Speed, Charlie majored in electrical engineering but loved the humanities. He read Shakespeare and surrounded himself with music and art. Two important things happened to Charlie in his junior year. He met Lucy Martin on a blind date and subsequently married her. Their relationship bore 3 daughters and lasted 57 years. He also started as a co-op student with Reliance Paint and Varnish, the company he would join permanently after graduation in 1934 and would rise to lead during his illustrious career.
He was try to be so unassuming that nobody had any idea, and we really didn't know that he was wealthy. And he loved to paint rooms with Reliance Varnish paints. So his clothes were always speckled, you know. So his old clothes, Saturday clothes, puts those on with a speckled paint and a speckled t-shirt, and takes me to look at new cars. And the guy's looking at him and going, oh, he's never going to buy a car. Look at this poor man. His paint speckled clothes, holes in the knees, you know, really pathetic looking guy. And he gets the guy down as low as he can possibly get him on the price, and then he pulls out the cash and pays for the car. And the guy goes, uh-oh.
During that time, Charlie became active in the Presbyterian Church, a relationship he would cultivate the rest of his life. He loved to discuss and consider theology.
Tell me about you. Tell me about what you think. And he listened, and he liked to hear what other people thought, and somehow saw that God was at work in all that. That's unusual. Not many people that I know have that degree of openness to particularly about religion. He was clear-minded and dedicated to the best that you could find, but without worrying or thinking that humans were ever perfect.
Religion was what Charlie searched to understand. Business was what he knew. After rising to CEO of Reliance over a 40-year span, Charlie retired from the company in 1976, but he didn't stay retired long. Intrigued by possibilities of a new manufacturing technique called injection molding, he started a company to make plastic parts for automobiles and furniture. He called the company simply Plastic Parts. The business was successful, and 8 years later, Charlie sold it and retired again, but only for a short period of time.
Charlie was just a truly outstanding individual, great values, an outstanding family man, someone who represented great humility. Charlie had accomplished a lot in his life. He accomplished a lot in his work life, a lot at the University of Louisville. He accomplished a lot in his retirement.
Now, worth several $1 million, Charlie set up his private investment operation. He also managed a local investment group of 35 persons with assets in excess of $100 million. His investment strategies, a complex mix of conservatism and risk-taking, increased his personal fortune. Even with his considerable increase in wealth, Charlie never abandoned a modest lifestyle.
Charlie had the sense that his family was important. He provided for their education and other things for his family. He was generous to them, but he told me one time, I don't want to deprive them of the joy of making their own money.
Charlie began to think seriously about funding an awards program that recognized the power of ideas. Before turning to those awards, let me try to sum up Charlie Grawemeyer the man. He was a man of contrasts, a quiet man, yet a natural leader. He was the embodiment of old-fashioned values, but was eager to embrace new ideas. He was a conservative who took risks, an engineer who loved art and literature. Charlie loved music, especially when Lucy played the piano. Some called him miserly, but his generosity was legion. He put 3 daughters and 13 grandchildren through college. His philosophy of life and work ethic were simple. If you're going to succeed, you've got to do a little more than what you get paid for. You have to really give more than other people do. Charlie turned to philanthropy, but philanthropy of a special kind that honored ideas rather than lifelong personal achievement. The Grawemeyer Awards.
He's not your ordinary dreamer, but he did have a dream, and it was to establish awards that would someday, maybe in the far distant future, rival the Nobel Awards.
The Grawemeyer Awards are devoted to the beauty of creativity and the power of great ideas to change the world. They honor the great ideas in categories of the arts and sciences. As Charlie liked to say, technical accomplishments are the roots of society. Arts, philosophy, and science are its fruits.
Charlie saw this as something very important for the University of Louisville in building and accomplishing everything that the University of Louisville stands for.
Charlie called on his alma mater, the University of Louisville, to help develop and implement the awards. Charlie patterned the Grawemeyer Awards after the Nobel Prizes started by industrialist Alfred Nobel in 1901, and the Pulitzer Prizes from the estate of publisher Joseph Pulitzer. It was possible that Charlie saw himself in Alfred Nobel, who had been described as a retiring, considerate person who detested all forms of publicity, a highly educated man and an idealist.
And I can remember the very first winner who came and made a wonderfully gracious speech at our awards banquet and said, "I am honored. This is the Nobel Prize in Music."
The Grawemeyer Awards, administered by the University of Louisville, gives a total of $1 million annually to the winners. Each of the 5 category winners receives a $200,000 stipend. The Grawemeyer Award endowment has grown from a $20,000 gift and 4,000 shares of Reliance stock given to the University of Louisville by Charlie in 1984. The awards started in 1985 with a single category, music composition. More than 225 entries from composers representing 18 different countries. The winning composer was Witold Lutosławski for his Symphony No. 3. In the ensuing years, many international composers, some famous, some not, have received the Grawemeyer Award for music. In addition, more categories were added. In 1988, Charlie and the University of Louisville added the World Order Award. Among the recipients are Mikhail Gorbachev, former Premier of Russia, honored in 1994 for his 1988 address to the United Nations. The Award for Education was added in 1989, and the Award for Religion in 1990. In planning the addition of the religion category, Charlie specified Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary and the University of Louisville would jointly administer the award. Charlie was a lifelong member of the Presbyterian Church and had served on the Board of Trustees for the seminary.
It celebrates the diversity and the uniqueness of individual thought, but in the context of religion as part of the human story. They don't need to be afraid that somehow God's going to break if you look too closely. No, God's much bigger than your microscope, but you need to look.
The Grawemeyer Awards are young and evolving. If they were a child, they'd be in their adolescence. The newest category is the award for psychology. During its existence, many people have received Grawemeyer Awards for outstanding work in chosen fields. The awards are truly international in scope and have increased in prestige with each passing year. The legacy of one man has given honor and financial reward to many, and it has enriched us all.
He's easy to think about and remember.
He was a wonderful guy, Renaissance man.
Charlie was the biggest dreamer.
The Grawemeyer Awards are unique. They recognize the power of ideas and of creativity to change the world.
Charlie Grawemeyer died in 1993 at the age of 81. If, as Shakespeare implied, all the world is a stage and we are merely players on it, then Charlie embraced a major role with a humble heart.
It seems to me ideas are the mankind has of improving his lot in the world order of things. God gave us a mind, and it's becoming increasingly evident that the capacity of those minds is just far beyond what we've done, in spite of the tremendous things we've done scientifically and otherwise. To me, it just beckons us to try to reach that capacity.